Ever seen those long white streaks left behind airplanes in the sky? Those are called contrails, short for condensation trails.
Pay attention. I do want to mention before I dive into this, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes, and this is a theory. Here is what they are calling a weather phenomenon in Mexico that happened in 2020, 2024 with the whole Hurricane Burrow, and then just a few days ago as well. I have said this in the past where frequencies and vibrations can create shapes. They can alter a lot of things. Anything that pretty much has to do with energy, which all things here are energy. Most of the world is made up of energy for our universe, which means that it can be controlled, altered, manipulated, changed, any of those types of things through frequency. Now, the two things that could manipulate this would be HAARP and CERN. About 10, 15 years ago used to be conspiracies. They're not anymore. I have said this in the past though, especially with the Lahaina, Hawaii fires. The DWs could be used, but I touched on the fact that you can control fire with frequency. And here's that clip that I had. Being how there's so much precision in this shape, in this weather anomaly, right? It almost looks like a gear, maybe magnetic. I've said this so many times in the past, and there's been, experiments on this. Just the same way you can control sand, like here, with hertz and frequency and vibrations, you can also control water. Now, the same way we can control sand and water with frequency, it makes me think, right? One company, HAARP, can create false weather manipulation, right? So let's say they created rain clouds. In rain clouds, there's water. Then CERN has the frequency and the vibration to change that shape, right? Which could have gave us this shape. Let's not go too far from crop circles. Crop circles appear on mostly wheat fields, but it's created by the earth. It's created by the universe and the frequency for our plate tectonics to create these amazing looking shapes with precision. This is a dangerous game though, because the same way they are controlling these frequencies and vibrations, which the universe is made up of, that can also affect humans in various different ways. It is pretty odd too that the CERN machine is kind of shaped like this anomaly. It also really resembles the Aztec calendar. Like, look, I'm gonna blend the two here, just so you guys can see how similar it looks in far as shapes and the detail. The fact that this exact same shape popped up during the time of Hurricane Burrow, it doesn't get any more straightforward than that. And then check out this clip here with one of the reporters when he says that hurricanes can be created through weather modification.
Flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
It's also shown and said that portals are circular shape, which is just odd. Now the question is, a portal for what? Either something left or something came. All of these things kind of have some sort of resemblance. They're all in some way, shape, or form connected. Like I said, HAARP can be creating the weather modification. CERN can then control with the frequency of that modification, creating God knows what. I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments. This is very interesting.
So as you may have seen on last night's show, I said that I was not mentally prepared to go into the whole weather control
conspiracy theories.
And then what happens? I come across this video.
Now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College. Lasers? Really?
Hang on. Can we just, for a minute, just all acknowledge that they tell us what they are going to do or what they are doing? Can we just agree on that? Okay.
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
Right. So basically everything that the you-know-whos are saying, they're not making it up. It didn't come out of nowhere. Here it is.
However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Katie, go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, do those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo-jumbo.
Yeah. So don't let your leftist acquaintances tell you that you're crazy and that you're just one of those people.
What's up, Skywatchers? What is up indeed? Friday, October 4th, 2024. All right, before we get started, I want to take a moment for Tennessee and North Carolina. We know what they did. We know why they did it. They wanted your land and you wouldn't give it to them, so they took it. Now, I'm pretty sure most of us know hurricanes do not move in 300 miles offshore and take aim at the mountains. Actually, that's where you go to get away from such events. Let this be a lesson for the rest of us. These events can and will strike anywhere, from heat domes in the north and sub-zero temperatures in the south, and every seemingly natural disaster. But we know the dark occult scientists have harnessed the power of nature and turned it into a weapon. These events are not natural, but rather planned, engineered, and unleashed. We know why this happens, and it's amazing how much climate science and other theoretical science we can attribute to weather warfare. Much so, it destroys all other narratives. The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Facility makes noise in the sky by sending a 3.6 milliwatt signal into the ionosphere. The signal can be continuous or pulsed, and it operates in the 2.8 to 10 megahertz region of the high-frequency band. One of the many capabilities of HAARP include generating very low-frequency radio waves by modulating and heating of the auroral electrojet, generating artificial air glow. Guys, they no longer need HAARP to accomplish this. They can now do this with local facilities in all of our regions. Great opportunity for these scientists to crank up Super Darn, NextRad, HAARP, and by releasing atmospheric aerosols and heating regions of the atmosphere, they can create artificial auroras and artificial air glow easily. Demonstrated this time after time. We are in a cycle, the cycle of destruction by technology, and we've seen this before from Atlantis to the mud floods of Tartaria. This is how great resets have happened many times. The controllers will always give you the natural cycles and the science to match.
There are some things in life that are just so unbelievable, so hard to wrap your head around, that you can't be told. It's something you have to be shown in order to believe. With that in mind, I want to talk to you about weather modification and how it's been happening for decades. And this is probably what we're seeing with places like Lahaina and Maui and North Carolina and the Appalachian Mountains, where they can manipulate and control hurricanes, the strength. They can control the strength, and they can pinpoint them where they want them to go. They can stall them out to have them rain in a spot over and over again. This has been ongoing for decades. I'm going to put up a patent number here in a moment. Either screenshot this, write that number down, and do a little research for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I want you to look this up for yourself because it's readily available and it'll shock you at what they've been doing and can do. Here's what I found Again, look it up for yourself, but here's a little bit of what I found. Stay with me. I'm going to talk about some more. Once you wrap your head around the idea that they can weaponize the weather, and they are, then it's not a stretch to think that that's what's happening here in North Carolina in the Appalachian Mountains with this recent hurricane. No different than Lahaina in Maui. They wanted those properties. And when the government wants something, by God, they're going to take it. They'll use places, companies like BlackRock and Vanguard to try to get the deals done. But the way they're going about this is those people didn't want to go anywhere. So control the weather, take them out. Why do you think they didn't want you taking pictures of Lahaina? They were stopping people from photographing and journalists from reporting. What did you just hear today? Pete Buttigieg says it's a no-fly zone over these areas. They don't want you flying your personal drone looking for people. They don't want you to see what's going on and what's happening. They don't want you to see that they have bodies on riverbanks, in trees, still laying there 6 days later because there's not been a lot of help. All of this is orchestrated, folks. If you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you at this point. I know it's a big pill to swallow, but look around you. Look what's happening. World War III on the brink. Israel, Ukraine. In fact, FEMA just said they don't have enough money to fund this hurricane relief because they've spent it on foreign wars and the illegals here at home. They reallocated those funds, and guess what? Americans need it now. And they're letting them sit there for 6 days now without food or water or help. Wake up, folks. I don't know that we make it to the next election. 32 days away. One thing to keep in mind, it ain't just about the lithium in the quartz that are heavily deposited in these areas, which they do want. Those are red conservative areas in Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and Virginia, West Virginia. Folks, I pray for the folks that are affected by this. I pray to God that they get the help that they need, because FEMA's not doing it. They're taking funds from people. They took funds from a high school that was collected by the community and communities around that were trying to support them. They went to the school, took the money. They're taking people's supplies that they're bringing in. They're stopping people from taking personal helicopters and doing search and rescue. Why? I don't know, folks. Pray up. Keep your powder dry.